My name is Patty Friend. I am the Legal Programs Coordinator here at CADV. It is my job to make sure that clients are informed about the legal processes, what that could include revolving around dissolution, around child custody, around issues of domestic violence and sexual assault. Lucia came to the United States in May of 2017, and within a month she had discovered that this was not her relationship that she thought it was, and she sought out shelter and found her way to us in June of 2017.
I met Michael in October of 2009. He was a very different person than the man he is now. We decided to get together and have children. In August of 2011, we had a daughter. While I was pregnant, he was trying to convince me to move here, but I didn't want to move because I didn't want to leave my mother behind. He promised me that once we got married, we would find a place to live in the Dominican Republic because he would have residency. In 2016, we went to immigration to get our visas, and we were granted temporary visas for my daughters for 3 months.
With a victim like Lucia, she was brought into a situation where she trusted this person initially in the beginning of the relationship. Everything is fine. It's a very loving and doting relationship that then turns into a controlling relationship, a relationship where there's control, a relationship where there's jealousy, a relationship that eventually moves to isolation, and the worst form of isolation. Not, we are going to move across town. It's isolation of, we're going to move to another country where you don't speak the language and where economically you are going to be behind the 8 ball because you don't speak the language. It's going to be more difficult for you to support yourself. You're going to be completely dependent on me, the abuser, and I have taken you away from, and I've isolated you from any family members that you have, so you have no one. You have nowhere, there's nowhere to run.
And when we got to the airport, he received me in a very bad manner. He told me that I was stupid, that I didn't know anything, that I was his daughter, and I told him that I didn't want my older daughters sleeping in the basement. I asked him why he was sleeping in the living room when we were married, and I wasn't going to accept living with another woman. He would say a lot of words that were ugly, and then I would start to cry. Then he would say things that were even worse. In one of the arguments, one of my daughters had a phone, and he was afraid I was going to call the police. And from that point forward, he would not allow me or my daughters to have a phone.
Lucia was very afraid of working with law enforcement. She was very afraid to call the police. She believed that police were corrupt, and that was very ingrained within her. Also, she had the outside influence that the police would be called and they would arrest her and they would deport her. Even though she has an active green card, she still was afraid that she was going to be deported, and that was threatened.
Because I saw that Michael was getting more violent, I talked with my daughters and told them they need to remain calm and not upset the situation. In 8 days, his ex-wife arrived from Alaska, and he told me that I had to get up early because we were going to pick her up at the airport. I told him I was not going to go, and he told me I was going to go because she is good. I told him he could not force me to go, and he said he was going to take me back to the Dominican Republic, but only with the 2 oldest girls. At that point, my oldest daughters and I had to do whatever he said in order to maintain the peace. He was always pleasing my youngest daughter. The day I decided to leave, he called my oldest daughter a fucking bitch.
In this circuit, we're very fortunate because there is a place to run, and there is help out there. There's support out there for these types of victims, and especially in an immigrant situation, there's a place for her to go, and she went, thankfully. And it's our obligation, our duty, as a society, and I think certainly morally, to step up when that person has the courage to run and the courage to say, I can't do this anymore. We all have to step up and provide and wrap that person up with services that is going to take them out of that awful situation.
I spoke with my aunt to see if she would help by staying with my oldest girls. I would send them to the Dominican Republic while I stayed here with my youngest daughter until the situation was settled. My aunt told me to look on the internet for help with domestic violence. I wasn't sure how to do it, and I couldn't do it when he was home. I tried calling immigration, but they couldn't help me. We had a joint banking account together. We both had cards for the account, but he told me that he lost his card, and he asked me for my card because immigration needed it. He told me I could have a card, but I could not use it. He said that his wallet was stolen, and he accused my oldest daughter of stealing it. He started screaming at my oldest daughter. She told me she wanted to hit him, and I told her that it's better to stay calm. Michael went for a walk, and I called CADV and explained the situation, but I had to hang up quickly because he came back. He then left for Miami, and I was left at the home without a phone, so I went out the window and went to the store and bought a phone. I always had money set aside in case of an emergency. I met a family in the store, and she told me she would take me to my house. When I got to the house, the neighbor that lives across the street called Michael. Then Michael started to send me messages that he was going to cut my veins, and he told me that the neighbor can call the police on me. I told him I hadn't told the neighbor anything. I had talked with her about learning English, and she wanted to learn Spanish. I didn't tell anyone anything that was happening at home. I called my sister-in-law, and she told me to call the domestic violence shelters because she was too far away to help me. I called CADV, and I got the address. They were able to help me get to a shelter in Lebanon and then brought me to CADV. Michael started to apologize and asked me if I had told anything to the police. I told him I had not talked with the police. He used to tell me that if I was in a women's shelter, they could take my girls away. We were in the house. He used to be in the bedroom with his ex-wife, and in one case, one of my daughters saw them kissing. They were married for 18 years and were never able to have children. I became even more afraid because she would try to win over my youngest daughter, which was his child. He used to tell our youngest daughter that she was very smart, but that me and my older daughters were stupid. The youngest daughter saw me crying and said, "Mom, what are you going to do? Are you just going to let him kill you?" I told her that I knew she loved her father and that I would not leave her because I didn't want her to suffer. My youngest daughter then said, "No, let's go." After we left, my youngest daughter changed a lot toward her father. Even though it was very hard and I cried a lot, I came to CADV, and now I can work and walk around free. It changed from the sky to the ground. I lived in hell for a month with Michael. Then I came to CADV, and I still wasn't sure I could do it on my own. At CADV, they gave me support and help. I always felt supported and protected. I was able to find a job, and it wasn't as Michael had told me, that no one would help me.
Some clients need a lot of help. Some clients just need a place to stay. She was one of those clients that needed a lot of help just because of the language barrier that she came with. So a lot of the things that I help clients with, for example, applying for state aid, applying for apartments, applications, all of those things are in English. Going to the doctor, the application, somebody would have to go with her and help her translate it because it's all in English. They don't have the Spanish documents just because they didn't have the need for it.
Gracias, Cindy, por ayudarme y por ayudarme con mis hijas y protegerlas. Es lo que más quiero después de Dios y mi familia.